The blue light from Marcus's laptop carved shadows across our bedroom. After 11 years of marriage, I'd grown accustomed to his late-night work sessions, the tap of his keyboard a lullaby I'd fallen asleep to hundreds of times. This night felt different. His body was tense, hunched protectively over the screen. "Still working on the Henderson acquisition?" I asked, rolling toward him. My voice sounded thick with sleep even to my own ears. Marcus didn't answer. His eyes remained fixed on the screen, his shoulders rigid beneath his white t-shirt. I reached for my water glass on the nightstand, knocking it against the wood. A drop splashed onto the duvet. "Sorry," I murmured. His silence continued. Whatever financial analysis had captured his attention must be important. The Henderson acquisition was his ticket to the promotion he'd been angling for over the past 18 months. As the financial director for Meridian Capital, Marcus had built his reputation on thoroughness and precision. The promise of becoming chief investment officer had consumed him lately. "Don't stay up too late," I said, reaching out to touch his arm. His reaction was immediate and violent. Marcus's hand shot out, fingers circling my wrist with bruising force. His laptop slammed shut with his other hand. "You can't touch this," he screamed, face contorted. I froze, shock reverberating through me. In 11 years, Marcus had never raised his voice to me, let alone grabbed me. We'd built our relationship on mutual respect and calm communication. Even our arguments maintained a certain civility. "Marcus, you're hurting me," I said quietly. His grip loosened immediately, but his eyes remained wild, darting between my face and the closed laptop. "I'm sorry, Elise, you startled me. I'm working on sensitive materials." The apology came too quickly, too smoothly. His voice had shifted from panicked to controlled in seconds. Something cold settled in my stomach. I'd worked as a corporate attorney for 15 years. I recognized calculated behavior when I saw it. "No problem," I said, matching his calm. I didn't mean to interrupt. His shoulders relaxed slightly. "I should take this to the study anyway. You need your sleep." I nodded, settling back against my pillow as he gathered the laptop, holding it close to his chest like a shield. At the doorway, he paused. "The Henderson deal is stressing me out." I shouldn't have snapped. "It's forgotten," I assured him. But as the door clicked shut behind him, I knew it wasn't. Something about his reaction transcended normal privacy concerns. This wasn't about sensitive work materials. This was evidence of something he desperately needed to hide. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my wrist throbbing where his fingers had dug into my skin. My legal training kicked in, evaluate the facts, find the inconsistencies. Marcus never worked on his personal laptop for company business. Meridian had strict protocols about using only company-issued devices for all work-related activities. The company laptop sat untouched in his briefcase by the dresser. His reaction wasn't about protecting client confidentiality. It was about protecting himself. In the darkness, a decision crystallized within me. I would find out what Marcus was hiding. I would touch it all. Morning arrived with pale October sunlight filtering through our bedroom curtains. I'd slept perhaps 3 hours, but adrenaline kept me alert. When Marcus emerged from the bathroom, dressed in one of his charcoal suits, I was already sitting up, scrolling through my phone. "Morning," he said. His voice carefully neutral, I looked up, offering a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Good morning. Want me to make coffee?" "Already had some, but thanks." He adjusted his burgundy tie in the mirror, avoiding my gaze. "I have an early meeting about Henderson. Probably won't be home until 8 or 9. "No problem. I have the Westlake brief to finish anyway." He nodded, finally meeting my eyes. A slight frown creased his forehead as he studied my face. "About last night—" "Don't worry about it," I interrupted, maintaining my smile. "We're both stressed with work." "It happens," relief crossed his features. He believed I was letting it go. Perfect. After Marcus left, I remained motionless for 10 minutes, listening to the house settle into silence. Then I moved with purpose. First, I checked the home security system app on my phone. Marcus's car had left our gated community. I then texted my assistant at the law firm, saying I'd be working from home for the day. Marcus's study was meticulously organized, color-coded files, labeled containers, books arranged by subject. His orderliness had always been a source of gentle teasing between us. Now it worked to my advantage. The laptop wasn't visible. I methodically searched the room, starting with his desk drawers, then moving to the bookshelf. Nothing. I expanded my search to the closet, checking inside his winter boot boxes. In the third box, beneath a layer of tissue paper, I found the laptop, hidden but not locked away. Interesting. I set it on the desk and opened it. The login screen appeared, requesting a password. I didn't know it. Marcus and I had always maintained separate accounts on our personal devices. But I knew how he thought. Marcus used variations of the same password structure for his non-financial accounts. Something personal, followed by a significant date, followed by a special character. I tried several combinations, E and MZO5121, Meridian CIO 2024. Henderson 2024 nothing worked. Taking a step back, I considered what else might be significant to him. His parents' names? Too obvious. His childhood home address? Unlikely. Then I remembered his college rowing team. Marcus still displayed his championship medal in his office. Argonaut Row 19999. The screen unlocked. I exhaled slowly, flexing my fingers before touching the trackpad. The desktop was nearly empty, just a few standard icons and a single folder labeled Resource Materials. Too generic. Too careful. Opening it revealed dozens of subfolders, each named with dates going back 18 months. My pulse quickened as I clicked on the most recent one. Videos. At least 20 of them. I clicked on the first file, then immediately wished I hadn't. Marcus and a woman I recognized as Vanessa Chen, his junior analyst. They were in a hotel room, clearly intimate. I closed it quickly, nausea rising in my throat. An affair. The most cliché betrayal imaginable. But something didn't add up. Why keep such extensive documentation? Why organize it so carefully? Men having affairs typically tried to hide evidence, not catalog it meticulously. I skipped through other videos, most too painful to watch for more than a few seconds. Then I came across one that wasn't sexual. Marcus and Vanessa were seated at a desk, spreadsheets open before them. So we moved the $5 million from the Henderson Fund into the shell account? Vanessa asked. Temporarily, Marcus replied. Just until the audit passes. Then we can distribute it through the offshore channels we discussed. And the board will never know? Marcus smiled. The board sees what I want them to see. That's why they're making me CIO. I sat back, a cold clarity washing over me. This wasn't just infidelity. This was financial fraud, embezzlement, securities violations. As a corporate attorney, I recognized the potential criminal charges immediately. My husband wasn't just betraying me. He was betraying his company, his clients, and the law. I worked methodically for the next 4 hours, copying files, taking screenshots, transcribing conversations. I created 3 separate backups. One on an encrypted cloud service I used for work, one on a portable hard drive I placed in my office safe, and one on a small USB drive I tucked into my jewelry box. By mid-afternoon, I had what I needed. I returned the laptop to its hiding place, arranging everything exactly as I had found it. Then I showered, scrubbing until my skin was red, as if I could wash away the images I'd seen. As I dried my hair, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I looked different somehow, my blue eyes harder, my expression controlled but distant. The woman staring back at me had a plan forming. In 3 weeks, Meridian Capital would hold its annual awards gala. Marcus had already confirmed he would be announced as the new CIO that night. Everyone who mattered at the company would be present: the board, executive leadership, key clients. It would be the perfect stage. I reached for my phone and called Meridian's event coordinator, Diane. We'd met several times at company functions over the years. Diane, it's Elise Bennett. Yes, lovely to talk to you too. Listen, I'm planning a surprise for Marcus at the gala, a little congratulatory video for his promotion. Would it be possible to arrange something with your AV team? The Meridian Capital Annual Awards Gala always showcased the company's success and wealth. This year was no different. The grand ballroom at the Westbrook Hotel glittered with crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, and floral arrangements that cost more than some people's monthly salaries. I stood before the mirror in our bedroom, adjusting the emerald silk gown I'd purchased specially for the occasion. The color complemented my auburn hair, which I'd styled in an elegant updo. Diamond studs, a gift from Marcus on our 10th anniversary, sparkled in my ears. "You look stunning," Marcus said, appearing in the doorway in his tuxedo. His eyes held genuine admiration. For a moment, I almost faltered. There had been good years between us, vacations in the Greek islands, Sunday mornings reading the paper together, supporting each other through the deaths of my father and his mother. But the images from his laptop flashed through my mind, hardening my resolve. "Thank you," I replied, applying a final coat of lipstick. "Ready to celebrate your big night?" "More than ready." Richardson hinted that they're announcing my promotion during the awards ceremony. His smile was triumphant, confident. "You've worked hard for it," I said, and that much was true. Marcus had always been ambitious, driven. I just hadn't realized how far he'd go to achieve his goals. The ballroom was already crowded when we arrived. Executives in tuxedos and designer gowns clustered around high tables, champagne flutes in hand. Marcus was immediately drawn into conversation with board members, his arm around my waist as he introduced me with practiced charm. "You remember my wife, Elise? She just won the Harrington case last month." "Impressive work," said Gregory Winters, the silver-haired chairman of Meridian's board. "Your firm must be thrilled. Thank you." "It was a team effort," I replied, scanning the room discreetly. Across the ballroom, I spotted Vanessa Chen in a form-fitting red dress, talking with a group of analysts. Our eyes met briefly before she looked away, her laugh a little too loud. "Excuse me for a moment," I said. "I see Diane from events. I want to thank her for the lovely table arrangements." Marcus squeezed my waist. "Don't be long. They're starting dinner soon." I made my way through the crowd, nodding at familiar faces. Near the AV booth at the side of the ballroom, Diane was reviewing notes with a young man in a technical crew uniform. "Elise, everything's set for your surprise," Diane said warmly. "This is Trevor from our media team." "Thank you both," I said, shaking Trevor's hand. "I've sent the file to your email as discussed. It should play right after the CIO announcement." "Got it loaded and ready," Trevor confirmed. "Just give me the signal when you want it to roll." Perfect. Dinner passed in a blur of gourmet courses and carefully orchestrated small talk. I played my role flawlessly, the proud, supportive wife. I laughed at the right moments, contributed intelligently to discussions about market trends, and kept my hand on Marcus's arm whenever appropriate. All the while, I was calculating, watching. The weight of the small USB drive in my evening clutch was a constant reminder of what was to come. After dessert, Gregory Winters approached the podium for the awards presentation. Various executives were recognized for their achievements: highest client retention, most new accounts, best team leadership. Each recipient gave a brief, gracious speech. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. "It gives me great pleasure," Winters said, "to announce our new Chief Investment Officer. This individual has shown exceptional financial acumen, innovative strategies, and dedication to Meridian's values. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate Marcus Bennett." The room erupted in applause as Marcus rose from his seat, kissing my cheek before striding confidently to the podium. His smile was radiant, his posture triumphant. "Thank you, Gregory, and thank you to the entire board for this opportunity," Marcus began. "This is the culmination of years of hard work and vision." As he continued his speech, I caught Trevor's eye across the room and gave a subtle nod. My heart pounded in my chest, but my hands remained steady as I removed my wedding ring and placed it on the table beside Marcus's empty chair. "And I promise to lead Meridian Capital into a new era of growth and prosperity," Marcus concluded, raising his champagne glass. "To our future success." The crowd echoed his toast, glasses raised. Then the large screen behind him, which had displayed the Meridian logo throughout the evening, flickered. Marcus turned, expecting perhaps a congratulatory slide. Instead, his own face appeared on the screen. Not his public face, but his private one. He and Vanessa in a hotel room, their conversation clearly audible. "The shell company is registered in the Caymans," Marcus was saying. "Once we move the client funds through it, we'll have complete control. The board will never trace it." The room fell into shocked silence. The video cut to another clip, Marcus and Vanessa discussing specific amounts, naming specific clients whose funds they had diverted. Then another clip of the two of them in bed, laughing about how easy it had been to fool everyone. I stood, my chair scraping loudly in the silent room. All eyes turned to me, all except Marcus's. He remained frozen, staring at the screen in horror. From across the room, Vanessa's scream cut through the silence. "Turn it off! Turn it off!" But no one moved. The video continued to play, damning evidence unfolding before the entire company leadership. I walked calmly toward the exit, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Just before reaching the doors, I turned back to survey the scene. Gregory Winters had risen from his chair, his face ashen. Two board members were already on their phones, presumably calling legal counsel. Several people had their phones out recording the screen, and Marcus, powerful, confident Marcus, had collapsed into a chair, his head in his hands. Our eyes met across the room. In that moment, I saw the realization hit him. I had touched it all. I pushed open the ballroom doors and walked out into the cool night air. The satisfying click of the doors closing behind me echoing with finality. The media storm hit before I even reached home. My phone buzzed continuously with notifications, text messages, emails, calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I silenced it and drove in peace, the city lights blurring as I navigated familiar streets that would soon no longer be part of my daily route. I had prepared for this moment. 2 weeks ago, I'd secured a furnished apartment under my maiden name. Yesterday, I'd moved essential items there, clothes, personal documents, family photographs. The rest could be replaced or retrieved later through attorneys. At the apartment, I kicked off my heels and poured myself a glass of wine. Then I opened my laptop and began the next phase. First, I sent an email to Meridian's entire board of directors with comprehensive documentation of Marcus and Vanessa's fraud. Spreadsheets, bank transfers, audio recordings, transcripts, everything except the intimate videos. Those had served their purpose at the gala, but weren't necessary for legal proceedings. Next, I composed an email to Gerald Harrington, the managing partner at my law firm. I explained that I would need a leave of absence to deal with personal matters and potential legal complications arising from my husband's activities. Gerald was a pragmatist. He would understand the need for distance until the dust settled. Finally, I drafted a statement for the inevitable press inquiries. I was as shocked as everyone else to discover my husband's professional and personal betrayals. I am cooperating fully with Meridian Capital and the authorities in their investigation. I request privacy during this difficult time. Simple, dignified, and careful not to admit prior knowledge that might make me complicit. My phone continued to vibrate. Among the notifications was a text from Marcus. "What have you done? We need to talk. Please." I deleted it without responding. There would be no negotiation, no heated confrontation, no tearful recriminations. That part of our story was already over. What remained was the clean legal severing of ties. At 3 a.m., unable to sleep, I checked the news. The story had broken in the financial press. Meridian Capital executive accused of fraud and embezzlement. The article mentioned a dramatic revelation at the company gala, but gave few details. By morning, more comprehensive stories would appear. By afternoon, Marcus would likely be facing criminal charges. I felt oddly detached from it all. The shock and pain had been processed during those 3 weeks of planning. What remained was a cold clarity about what needed to be done. The next morning brought a call from Gregory Winters himself. "Elise," he said, his voice grave. "I can't imagine what you're going through. But we need to talk about what happened last night." "I understand," I replied. "I've sent the board all the evidence I gathered. My attorney will contact Meridian's legal team today to discuss my cooperation with any investigation." A pause. "You know, some might question your method of disclosure." "Some might," I agreed. "Others might question why Meridian's supposedly rigorous financial oversight failed to catch a fraud scheme orchestrated by one of its top executives." Another pause, longer this time. "Point taken. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you had to find out this way." "So am I." After hanging up, I called Catherine Morgan, a fierce divorce attorney who had represented several high-profile clients in similar situations. I'd prepared a list of questions and concerns, including how to protect my own assets from being seized if Marcus faced civil penalties. "Don't worry," Catherine assured me after hearing the details. "You've documented everything perfectly. With the evidence of his financial crimes, we can argue that any prenuptial agreements or financial entanglements are void due to fraud. You're in a strong position." "I don't want anything from him," I clarified. "I just want a clean break." "Understandable, but don't undervalue yourself. You've been married for 11 years. You're entitled to—" "I know what I'm entitled to," I interrupted. "But I also know what I need to move forward." Catherine chuckled. "You're not like most of my clients, Elise. I think we'll work well together." Over the next few days, the story exploded across both traditional and social media. Meridian Capital issued a formal statement announcing Marcus's termination and Vanessa's resignation, along with a thorough audit of all client accounts. The SEC launched an investigation. Criminal charges were filed. Marcus attempted to contact me multiple times: calls, texts, even a handwritten letter delivered to my office. I directed everything to Catherine, maintaining my silence. 2 weeks after the gala, I received a call from Diane, Meridian's event planner. "I've been debating whether to call you," she said hesitantly. "I just wanted to say, well, I admire how you handled everything. It took courage." "Thank you, Diane. The board is impressed too, believe it or not. Gregory mentioned they could use someone with your legal expertise and discernment on their corporate counsel team, once the dust settles." I laughed, genuinely surprised. "Are you saying they want to hire me after I expose their massive security failure at their own gala?" "Sometimes the person who finds the hole in the boat is exactly who you want on board," Diane said. "Just something to think about." I did think about it, but not seriously. My future would be elsewhere, away from the shadows of this betrayal. 6 months later, I sat across from Catherine in her office as she slid the final divorce papers toward me. "He's agreed to all terms," she said. "No contest, no claims against your assets, full responsibility for legal fees." "Good," I said, signing my name on the marked lines. "He asked me to give you a message," Catherine added. "He said to tell you he's sorry for everything." I paused, pen hovering above the paper. "Is that all?" "No. He also said she was right to touch it all." Something tightened in my chest. Not regret. Exactly, but acknowledgement of the life we'd once shared, now completely dismantled. "Will you respond?" Catherine asked. I completed my signature, the final stroke firm and definitive. "No need." This speaks for itself. 1 year to the day after the gala, I stood in my new office in Seattle, unpacking books onto shelves. Rain streamed down the windows, casting rippling shadows across the room. My law firm partnership in San Francisco had been transferred to their Pacific Northwest division at my request, giving me both professional continuity and personal distance. My phone chimed with a news alert. Out of habit, I checked it. Former Meridian executive sentenced in fraud case. The article stated that Marcus had received 7 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to multiple counts of securities fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion. Vanessa Chen had received a lighter sentence in exchange for her testimony. I set the phone down without reading further. That chapter was closed. On my desk stood a small framed quote I'd found during my recovery process. "Sometimes the bravest act is dismantling what no longer serves you." I ran my finger along the frame. remembering the cold clarity I'd felt that night in our bedroom, when Marcus's grip on my wrist had revealed everything I needed to know. "You can't touch this," he had said, but I had touched it all. The lies, the betrayal, the fraud. I had dismantled the false life we'd built and created something new from the ruins. Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing the world clean. 3 years after the Meridian scandal, I attended a legal conference in Vancouver. During a networking dinner, I found myself seated beside a woman named Renata Vasquez, general counsel for a sustainable investment firm. "Bennett," she said, studying my name tag. "Why does that sound familiar?" I smiled. "Possibly from the Meridian Capital case a few years back." Recognition dawned in her eyes. "Of course. You're that Elise Bennett." "Your husband was ex-husband," I corrected gently. "Right. Sorry." She looked embarrassed. "That must have been awful for you." "It was," I acknowledged. "But it's ancient history now." She nodded, then leaned closer. "Can I ask you something? Off the record?" "Depends on the question." "How did you do it? Stay so composed through all of that?" "The news coverage painted you as this ice queen who orchestrated the perfect takedown." I considered my answer carefully. When someone shows you who they really are, especially when it's someone you've trusted completely, you have a choice. You can fall apart, or you can find strength you didn't know you had. "I'm not sure I could have been that strong," Renata admitted. "You never know until you're tested," I replied. Sometimes the most devastating betrayals reveal our true capacity for resilience. Later that evening, back in my hotel room, I received an email from my assistant. Among the routine matters was a notification that Marcus would be eligible for parole next month. His attorney had requested a character statement from me. I closed the email without responding. Whatever path Marcus took now, it would be separate from mine. On my nightstand lay a dog-eared copy of Rebuilding When Your Relationship Ends. 3 years of therapy, career focus, and careful self-examination had helped me understand that what happened wasn't just about Marcus's betrayal. It was also about the subtle ways I had ignored warning signs, chosen security over authenticity, and allowed parts of myself to be diminished in service to our marriage. Now, at 42, I had rebuilt my life on more solid ground. My legal practice was thriving, focused on corporate ethics and compliance, helping companies establish systems that would prevent the very type of fraud Marcus had committed. I had a small circle of close friends, a comfortable home, and even a tentative new relationship with a literature professor named David. I picked up my phone and texted David, "Back from Vancouver tomorrow." "Dinner Friday?" His response came quickly. "Already booked a table at Luciano's. Can't wait to hear about the conference." Simple, straightforward communication. Mutual respect. These were the foundations I now required in all my relationships. As I prepared for bed, I caught my reflection in the bathroom mirror. The woman looking back at me was different from the one who had stood in another bathroom 3 years ago, planning her counterattack. This woman's eyes held wisdom rather than hurt, confidence rather than calculation. The lesson Marcus had inadvertently taught me remained valuable. When someone tells you, "You can't touch this," it often means that's exactly what needs to be dismantled. But I had learned my own lesson too. What we build from the dismantled pieces matters even more than the act of breaking them apart. Outside, Vancouver's lights glittered against the night sky, countless points of brightness against the darkness. Much like the new constellations I'd created in my own life. Smaller, perhaps, than the grand cosmic design I'd once imagined with Marcus, but authentic, hard-won, and entirely my own.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.